I am Chantel, and I did my project on food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases. Food-related outbreaks that cause infectious diseases are the result of food contamination, which is a serious public health issue. Foodborne diseases are a result of microorganisms, chemicals, and physiological factors that can invade our food industry. Microorganisms can be bacteria, fungi, and viruses. Microorganisms that grow in food can cause a variety of complications, like changes to the appearance, odor, and flavor of food. Microorganisms, chemicals, and other physiological factors that contaminate our food can be due to mistakes in safe care. For instance, if an individual does not wash their hands properly, they can still have dangerous bacteria on their hands that can then be transferred while cooking. Additionally, since a lot of cooking involves raw products, the likelihood of contamination is even higher, which is why safe cooking practices are vital. Unhygienic practices can cause implications in public health ranging from mild to fatal cases. Effects of food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases. Clinical aspects of this issue that conclude the diagnosis of an individual who has contracted an infectious disease as a result of food-related outbreaks are mild symptoms that include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, headaches, loss of appetite, cramps, and more. Severe symptoms include high fever, bloody urine, difficulty seeing or speaking, severe diarrhea, and death. Long-term illnesses that can arise as a result of foodborne diseases include reactive arthritis, which is inflammation in your joints, IBS, kidney diseases, chronic diseases, and more. History of a food-related outbreak. In this slide, we're going to be talking about salmonella. Foodborne illnesses have a long history due to challenges surrounding changing environments. Salmonella is a common and historical food-related illness that has affected millions of people in the U.S. and is a result of food or water contamination. So this all started in 323 BC when Alexander the Great died of a typhoid fever, which is a fever that you get when you have salmonella. Outbreaks of salmonella poisoning then infected historians in the 1600s and over 20,000 soldiers in the late 1800s. Salmonella poisoning can occur from consuming raw or undercooked eggs and meat and improperly storing your food. Controversy around this issue. So first we're going to be talking about antimicrobials or antibiotic drugs, and they are used to treat and prevent bacterial diseases found in animals and food. Such bacteria can contaminate the food we consume and lead to a foodborne illness and outbreak. This treatment and prevention practice causes a lot of controversy because the use of antimicrobials can create a development of antimicrobial resistance and negatively affect public health. Antimicrobial resistance occurs when microorganisms change in ways that render the medications used to cure the infections they cause ineffective. So basically, it means that it could potentially resist the drugs used to treat the infection, so no longer be effective. Antimicrobial resistance is a major global issue that is only increasing due to the emergence of bacterial pathogens. And this is all according to the National Antimicrobial Resistance Monitoring System. A recommended practice is the practice of safe food preparation, handling, transportation, and collection of data. Organizations will monitor products to ensure safety and avoid cross-contamination at the source before it is transported and sold to the public. In this slide, we will be discussing the World Health Organization. An important organization, the World Health Organization, serves to promote better global health by advocating for safe practices and providing standards to combat health issues. There are many missions this organization has. Regarding antimicrobial resistance, the World Health Organization has adopted a global plan. This includes improving awareness, strengthening knowledge, reducing the incidence of infections, optimizing the use of antimicrobial medicines, and developing economic investments to help all countries utilize new medicines, diagnostic tools, vaccines, and more. A controversial phenomenon in relation to food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases supports the idea of population control. Concern about population control stems from the world's growing population and worry that the earth will not be able to sustain the people within it due to land and resource demand. It is controversial that outbreaks that result in the death of millions is a government mission to reduce population sizes. Food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases is explained through the contamination of food and water. The controversial viewpoint surrounds the idea that the contamination of food and water is not the result of a man-made mistake. Rather, it is an experiment or a purposeful action in efforts to reduce population sizes. Factors relating to food outbreaks. The socio-cultural, economic, and political factors of infectious diseases and outbreaks have occurred as a result of inadequate practices in the production process. This contributes to the controversy of this issue because it can cause people to feel unsafe in the hands of the people who control society. This can create a lack of trust between the public and the government or manufacturers who produce and distribute food and water. A socio-cultural factor that contributes to the controversy of this issue is the use of unsafe exercises and the preparation of cooking and serving food. This is a socio-cultural factor because practices in the workplace are a societal concept. An economic factor that contributes to the controversy of this issue is the financial issues that arise when food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases occur. The rise of antimicrobial resistant pathogens, which can increase the risk of food contamination and outbreaks, can cause a spike in costs for global health security. This is more important to combat and prevent this issue, so more resources and tools must be implemented. It can also cause a spike in healthcare costs due to the rapid amount of people hospitalized. Political factors that contribute to this issue and its controversies is business regulations and an implementation of laws or policies. An outbreak of infectious diseases as a result of food contamination, regulations within food businesses must be made in order to ensure safety for consumers. Laws and policies must come about or be taken into consideration to, again, ensure safety. And through new regulations, laws, and policies, food contamination can become less likely because of rules designed to enforce safety protocol. Sociocultural, economic, and political factors that contribute to population control. Population control in relation to these factors can be supported and opposed. Since there is no abrupt change to unsafe exercises in the preparation of cooking and serving food, it can prove the controversy around population control because there is no urgency. On the other hand, businesses and organizations are working to solve these unsafe practices, as implementations go through other officials and can be lengthy. Financial demand during food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases can contribute to the controversy through the fact that it can be very costly. The public is presented with financial issues with concern and worry. However, the U.S. is very wealthy, which can be debated, but the money is utilized elsewhere, such as for prisons and land. But financial demand can oppose this view by enforcing the realization that money should be put more toward healthcare and ensuring safety for citizens. Business regulations and the implementation of laws and policies can contribute to population control because it may suggest rules to cause an outbreak. On the other side, business regulations and the implementation of laws and policies can ensure safety and security within the food industries of our society. Since food-related outbreaks can occur as a result of a business and individually, it is recommended that individuals follow the guide explained earlier. These recommendations include washing hands, avoiding cross-contamination, storing food properly, cooking at proper temperatures, and cleaning up after cooking. Now, some of these, there are specific steps that need to be followed, like to store food properly. Each, food that's different has a different way of being stored, and obviously different foods have different temperatures that need to be cooked through. So it is important that you also do your research. Ethical considerations in action. A quote that stood out to me states, "Foodborne illness is a preventable public health challenge that causes an estimated 48 million illnesses and 3,000 deaths each year in the United States." Individually, one should regularly wash their hands, avoid cross-contamination, cook through proper temperatures, and store food properly, as discussed. Properly handling food will prevent foodborne illness, which is a common health challenge that individuals and businesses face. Regardless of inspections that governments and local and global organizations go through, it is up to the consumer to continue to handle food appropriately to ensure cleanliness and safety. Commonly, individuals may use the bathroom, change a diaper, care for pets, tend to an ill person, blow your nose or sneeze, or handle raw food without washing your hands. This is the most important step one could take when securing cleanliness. It is common sense, but it does go without concern, and it does happen more often than people may think. Now we're going to be talking about an organization and the government. Organizationally, the FDA investigates outbreaks to prevent more people from getting sick and to better the future of food safety. An outbreak occurs when two or more people get the same illness from the same contaminated food or drink. The FDA created a coordinated outbreak response and evaluation network to manage outbreaks and the incidents that are linked to foodborne illnesses. This organization fulfills their goals by monitoring the production, importation, transportation, and sale of food through surveillance. Investigations are important to collect and gather data to then establish the next steps taken, such as new policies, inspection rules, protocols, and more. The FDA is allowed to mandate safety protocols regarding the food supply chain because of the government. Congress passed the Food Safety Modernization Act of 2011 to guarantee the safety and well-being of citizens by preventing food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases. This video is on YouTube, and it discusses another organization, the CDC, and what they look for when researching and trying to prevent and treat foodborne disease outbreaks. Collecting data on prior outbreaks and the patterns that may arise can help solve outbreaks and point scientists and researchers in the right direction. Once the direct connection is found, it gives researchers and scientists a sort of backboard to reach other conclusions.
Outbreak is detected.
Currently,
when a multi-state foodborne outbreak is detected, CDC works quickly to collect as much information as possible to find the source, so we can take action to prevent more people from getting sick. To do this, public health and regulatory officials gather three types of data during an investigation: epidemiologic, traceback, and food and environmental testing to link illnesses to contaminated foods. Epidemiologic data takes several forms: patterns and where and when people got sick, and past outbreaks caused by the same germ. Interviews with sick people to look for foods or other exposures happening more often than expected, and discovery of clusters of unrelated sick people who ate at the same restaurant, shopped at the same grocery store, or attended the same event. The second type of data is collected through an investigation called traceback. Officials look for a common point of contamination in the distribution chain from farm to fork. We review records collected from restaurants or stores where sick people ate or shopped and conduct inspections in restaurants and food production facilities and on farms looking for food safety risks. Then there is food and environmental testing data. Scientists look for the germ that caused illness in a food item collected from a sick person's home or a retail location or in the food production environment. We analyze lab samples to determine if the DNA fingerprint of the germs found in sick people can be linked to the germs found in food or production environments. Health officials evaluate all these types of data to try and identify the source of the outbreak. We take action when there is clear and convincing information linking illness to a contaminated food. Health officials warn the public. Companies recall contaminated products. And restaurants or food production facilities might close temporarily. CDC is dedicated to constantly improving the ways we investigate and solve foodborne outbreaks. For more information on CDC's efforts to prevent foodborne illness and keep Americans healthy and safe, go to cdc.gov/foodsafety/outbreaks or cdc.gov/pulsenet.
Currently, the government continues to monitor outbreaks. Societies should support food businesses by ensuring safety, which will, in turn, keep the people within the community safe from food contamination and keep stores in business. This is an economic benefit. Organizations should promote guidelines that any and every business in the food industry should follow. This will prevent unhygienic practices and enforce the importance of careful care in food preparation. Businesses may find that their privacy is being invaded, which is a key restraint. Ethically, policies and practices cannot invade the privacy of a store or a business. Recommended policies and practices should be taken into consideration in order to protect a business. The observance of employee behavior may violate an employee's reasonable expectation of privacy. This depends on the extent that matters are taken to. So, for example, a recommendation may be to monitor employees when they use the bathroom to make sure that they are washing their hands when they're finished. This is an ethical restraint because it violates an individual's personal rights and expectation of privacy. To clarify, people have a reasonable expectation of privacy when using the bathroom for obvious reasons. Food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases is a major public concern that needs more awareness, research, and action. Overall, food-related outbreaks of infectious diseases poorly affect public health. It is likely to result in a number of complications, and unfortunately, one being death. Outbreaks are very fatal and will affect millions of people once spread throughout the communities and eventually once spread globally. Antimicrobials or antibiotic drugs are a treatment to help essentially cure contaminated food or prevent food from becoming contaminated. This is a major concern because it can lead to antibiotic resistance, which, as explained, means that the drug no longer will affect that piece or type of food. It will no longer be effective. Population control is also a concern, and there's a lot of controversy around it because it urges people to believe that the government causes these outbreaks to reduce population sizes. With this being said, it is important that the government, organizations, and people individually help prevent outbreaks. Many organizations, like the FDA, have and currently take action to help combat this issue. Businesses that are involved in the food industry should be given new guidelines to avoid mistakes that can result in an infectious disease. Ensuring the safety of society's food is vitally important to keep people healthy. A few discussion questions I have for you is 1. What did you take away from this presentation? 2. What do you think about the population control theory/controversy? And lastly, do you think that the responsibility to ensure safety relies more on individuals or society as a whole? Or do you think the responsibility is on both individuals and society, and why? And here are all the references that I used. Thank you.